and accountability and transparency in governance was a major theme of President John Dramani Mahamat's campaign for the 2024 elections. You would recall that even before he formally took office, he set up a team to receive information regarding suspected acts of corruption and corruption-related activities. That team finished its work a month or so ago and presented a report to the president, who promptly handed it over to the Attorney General for more detailed investigations and inquiry in order that he may determine if sufficient basis exists to look further into those matters. The Attorney General has also been busy at work pouring through the documents and making determinations on whether or not there is sufficient basis to take action against specific named individuals who are of interest. In the last few weeks, significant actions have been taking place with the arrest and questioning of some individuals of interest to the Attorney General at this moment. And in order that further light is brought to bear on the subject and update the Ghanaian people on what has been happening so far, the Attorney General has kindly joined us this morning to give an update on the events that have taken place in the last few weeks and where he is in terms of looking into the various matters. So without wasting any more of your time, I would invite the Attorney General.
So I have called you here today to brief you on recent developments arising out of our investigations as a department. The briefing is in two parts. The first part relates to the arrest and detention of Mr. Kobina Eduboahene and Madam Angela Ajay Boateng and other suspects on March 20th and March 21st, respectively. The second will consist of an update, very broad in character, on the investigations arising out of or in connection with the oral report that was presented to me on the 10th of February this year. So first, to the Eduboahene case, because it has raised very significant interest because of the nature of the arrest. You will recall that he was arrested at the airport, and I started getting calls from all quarters regarding his arrest. So at about 9 p.m. on Thursday, March 20th, 2025, an operation carried out by a team of investigators from the Economic and Organized Crime Office, which is under the Ministry of Justice, led to the arrest of Mr. Kobina Eduboahene. The arrest was effected at the Kotoka International Airport in Accra when Mr. Eduboahene, disembarked from a British Airways flight. Mr. Eduboahene is the immediate past Director General of the National Signals Bureau of the National Security Council. At about midday on Friday, March 21st, 2025, the investigators went on to arrest Madam Angela Ajay Boateng, whom I have indicated is the wife of Mr. Eduboahene. Madam Angela, the couple are shareholders and directors of a list of companies which the investigation establishes have been used for transactions which form the subject matter of the investigations. The arrest followed intensive investigations into the purchase of some cyber intelligence equipment by the National Signals Bureau, formerly known as the Bureau of National Communications. It must be made clear from the outset that though under the Operation Recover All Loot government program, this operation does not form part of the list of cases which the oral committee submitted to the Attorney General this year. The operation was led by Mr. Raymond Archer, the Deputy Executive Director in charge of operations at EOCO. Here are the facts on which the arrests were made. On February 25th, 2025, around 11:30, 23:20 hours, EOCO received intelligence that suspect Kobna Idubohin left the country for the United Kingdom via British Airways flight BA 078 to London. Days after that, EOCO received further intelligence that the suspect had flown from the United Kingdom to Dubai and had purchased an Emirates airline ticket, which suggested that he was expected to arrive in Ghana on Friday, March 21st, 2025 at 12 noon via Emirates flight number EK 187. On Thursday, March 20th, 2025, EOCO received intelligence again, additional intelligence, that the suspect had canceled his flight and rescheduled his arrival to Ghana from Dubai to April 18, 2020. That is April 8th, not 18, April 8th, 2020. Now, I want this chronology to sink in because of a point that I will be making later on about why we are detaining him. On March 20th, around 3 p.m., EOCO's operational team, led by the acting deputy executive director in charge of operations, assessed its operational plan to include the possibility that the suspect could have traveled back to London to fly to Ghana in an attempt to evade surveillance. EOCO assessed with high confidence that the changes made by the suspect in terms of arrival date in Ghana may have been calculated steps to mislead investigators and throw them off any possible surveillance. EOCO further assessed that the time of the cancellation of the Emirates flight coincided with the time the British Airways was expected to fly from Heathrow to Ghana. The decision was taken to place the suspect on a stop order and make emergency operational adjustments and brace for his unexpected arrival and arrest of the suspect on either British Airways or KLM, which was expected to arrive in Accra. An hour to the arrival of the British Airways flight 078 in Accra, EOCO received intelligence that a name similar to that of suspect Kobna Idubohin, he had changed from K. Idubohin to O. Idubohin in the manifest, maybe on the British Airways flight. The suspect had slightly altered his name on all, the name that is reflected on all his passports. Around 9 p.m. on March 21st, the suspect was stopped by Ghana Immigration Service as he attempted to use the commercially important persons CIP terminal at the Kotoka International Airport. Now, he had changed his class from business class to economy, okay, and decided to evade arrest through the CIP terminal. EOCO has evidence that the suspect has at least 2 service passports, one which expires in 2033, and another which expires in 2029. So he has 2 service passports. It means that he also has a normal passport. Usually you would have a normal passport before you are issued the service passport. EOCO is currently following up on intelligence that the suspect may be holding a foreign passport also, okay? Because from what I'm going to tell you, the massive wealth that he has accumulated from 2018 shows that it is possible for him to have bought citizenship in some of the countries or jurisdictions where you can actually, as an investor, buy citizenship. And also, his wife holds a British passport, which we have in our possession. Now, as I said, he is the immediate past Director General of the National Signals Bureau. He left office sometime in February 2025. NSB, or the National Signals Bureau, is a successor organization to the now defunct Bureau of National Communications. Prior to the enactment of the NSB Act, that is the National Signals Bureaus Act 2020, which transformed the BNC into the NSB, Mr. Idubohin served as Deputy Director of the BNC and subsequently its Director from 2017. In other words, he has been in the management and control of Ghana's signal infrastructure since 2017. As the Director of BNC, Mr. Edubonhi was a co-signatory to the BNC's Director's account at Fidelity Bank. While serving as Director of BNC, however, he and his wife, Ms. Angela Ejeboating, registered a company on October 23, 2018, which they named, and listen carefully, BNC Communications Bureau Limited. It is important to note that the similarity between the names here, that is BNC, was designed, to engage in a criminal enterprise, which will unfold as I go further. For purposes of differentiation, we will call the private company Private BNC and call Ghana's Signal and National Security BNC the National BNC. Mr. Edubonhi, who is the head or who was the head of the BNC, and his wife are listed as directors of the private BNC. Okay, so they registered the company, and they, the two of them, together are the directors of the company, the two directors of the company. On October 26, 2018, the couple opened a corporate account for their private BNC at Universal Merchant Bank, UMB. According to the mandate on the account, either of the directors could sign checks and approve transactions on the account. In his capacity as director of the National BNC, Mr. Edubonhi, on January 30th, 2020, signed a contract on behalf of the government of Ghana and the National Security Council on the one hand, and on the other hand, an Israeli company called ISC Holdings Limited. The contract was for the purchase of a cyber defense system software at a price of 7 million United States of American dollars. Let us call this contract the GOG ISC contract. On February 6, 2020, Mr. Edubonhi then transferred an initial amount of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis, that is from the National BNC's operations account at Fidelity Bank to the private BNC account at UMB. Official documentation on the transfer revealed that the amount was for the payment of cyber defense system software, which the National BNC was buying from ISC Holdings in Israel. Mr. Edubonhi, in effect, transferred the money from the National BNC to his private company, the private BNC. A review of the transactions on the bank accounts reveals that once the funds from the National BNC landed in the account of his private BNC at UMB Bank, Mr. Edubonhi caused his private BNC to transfer an amount of 9,537,520 Ghana cedis to ISC Holdings in Israel. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was the Ghana cedi equivalent of 1,750,000 United States of American dollars. To justify or facilitate the transfer of the 9.5 million and the 9.5 million, Mr. Edubonhi fraudulently attached a copy of the Government of Ghana ISC contract as well as an invoice, which he held out as an invoice issued by ISC Holdings Limited in respect of the Government of Ghana ISC contract. On March 18th, 2020, and March 30th, 2020, respectively, he again transferred 21 million Ghana cedis from the National BNC Director's account at Fidelity Bank to the same private BNC account at UMB. The narration of the transaction indicated that it was for the payment of the cyber defense systems that the National BNC was buying. The transfer from the National BNC's account brought the total transfers that he made to his private BNC to 49 million Ghana cedis. by the exchange rate at the time, this amount was exactly the Ghana cedi equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. The exact full amount which he quoted as the price at which ISC Holdings sold the cyber defense equipment to government of Ghana. All the payments transferred to the invoice, a number from ISC Holdings, all the payments reference the invoice number from ISC Holdings to the national BNC. Importantly, after the initial transfer of the 9.5 million Ghana cedis, which was the equivalent of 1.750 United States of American dollars from the private BNC to ISC Holdings, no further payments were made to ISC Holdings. A review of the transactions on the private BNC account reveals that after the payment of the 1,750,000, Mr. Edubonhe and his wife began applying the rest of the funds for their personal use, making transfers to local third parties, personal investment, as well as transfers to unknown persons. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have all the account details, we have all the receipts, and any person who took money from Mr. Edubonhe from that account, we know. Now, our investigation, which was conducted by EOCO, as I've indicated, has established that the ultimate beneficial, in essence, the difference between 49 million Ghana cedis being the money Mr. Edubonhe transferred from the bank account of the National BNC to his private BNC, and 9.5 million being the money he actually paid to the ISC Holdings for the software, ended up with him and his wife. That is to say that the sum of 39,462,480 Ghana cedis of taxpayers' money went into their private pocket. The investigation has revealed that the ultimate beneficial owner of BNC Communications Limited is another company known as Advantage Solutions Limited. 10 other companies are through a very complex web of shareholding and directorship connected to Mr. Edubonhe and his wife, Angela. Investigations have also established that monies, mostly proceeds of crime, from the Advantage Solutions Limited and BNC Communications Bureau Limited and other similar sources have been transmitted under very suspicious circumstances through the bank accounts of these companies. The investigations have revealed so far that the suspect and his wife have registered companies which we are currently tracking. We are tracking all the companies. There are about 10 of them that they created with Advantage Solutions mostly owning all the companies. For purposes of the investigation that is ongoing, we are not going to disclose those companies, but I want to warn any executive, director, or employee of each of the companies who, knowing that Mr. Edubonhe has been arrested, if they make movement of assets, we will track and arrest them and prosecute them. So they are all warned. All banks are also warned that if we see any wire transfers or cash withdrawals on any of the accounts belonging to Mr. Edubonhe and his companies, the bank managers and all their employees who are involved in those transfers will equally be arrested. After this press conference, no activity, and we are monitoring all their bank accounts from the Financial Intelligence Center. With the press of a button, we can see the movement of money, on any of the accounts. So we are monitoring that very, very closely. We know, for instance, that the 3 banks that they have been dealing with, in substantial financial transactions are UMB, Fidelity Bank, and Stanbic Bank. So we are monitoring them keenly. And the managers of this bank, if they are listening to me, should be careful about what they do on any account connected to Mr. Edubonhe and his wife and their companies. The investigations also established that the proceeds from the suspect's activities were used to buy significant landed properties and other assets of considerable value both in Ghana and elsewhere. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I want to give you a sample of what we have discovered so far. We have tracked most of the assets. So, the properties that are in their names, their joint names, or sometimes in their, in their individual names, are as follows. We have number 2 Stream Park Drive, Mayfair Estates, LA, that is Accra. For that, they deposited, and we have the deposit slip as well as the receipt from the estate developer, $1 million United States of American dollars. Number 6, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, Accra. Deposit 500,000 United States of America. That's American dollars. That's the initial deposit. All right. Then we have number 7, Edith Avenue, Mayfair, 200,000 United States of American dollars deposited for the property. Number 8, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, Accra, 97,815 United States of American dollars was deposited for that property. But we are sure that other cash payments were made to complete the purchase and then the transfer of ownership. So we are tracing all those documents. Number 9, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estate, 270,000 United States of American dollars deposited, initial deposit for the purchase. Number 10, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, Accra, 150,000 United States of American dollars deposited. Now, he also owns a company known as Vertex Properties. Vertex Properties. And we've traced the proceeds of crime to Vertex Properties also. They have, Vertex Properties owns 27 houses located at Oyarifa. Each house costs, an estimated cost of 295 thousand United States of American dollars. We also know that they have 2 properties in London that we are tracking, and I'm going to trigger the mutual legal assistance between the United Kingdom and Ghana for us to be able to lay hands on those properties. Now, we also know, we've been following the bank transactions very closely, and we know that on February 11, 2020, they made a 16 million fixed deposit from the payment received from BNC Security. This was from the initial payment of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis. On April 3rd, 2020, Mr. Dubois alone withdrew 7,250,000 Ghana cedis, okay, in cash. He withdrew that in cash. This payment came out of the second transfer of the 21 million from BNC National Security to BNC, his private company. On April 24th, 2020, 1.5 million cash withdrawal was made. On the same day, he made payments to a real estate company to the tune of 1,566,000. So you see the coincidence, okay, of the transactions that were taking place. Then February to September, out of the 49 million, which was transferred from BNC National Security to his private BNC, about 99% was withdrawn by him personally. And they were largely very large cash withdrawals. And we believe that those were the withdrawals that were made for him to make the deposit for the properties that are enumerated above. Now, we are still tracking suspect Edu Bonhi. This is the first time there were some people who knew, and there were reports of the arrest. Very few people knew what the arrest was about. In fact, some people called me and thought it was in relation to the issue regarding the Emirates ladies. they are the country manager of Emirates, but that isn't it. So we are detaining them because we want to prevent a situation where they will tamper with evidence. But as I've said, apart from the other companies that we are and other transactions that we are investigating, okay, we have substantial evidence to be able to prosecute even with, in respect of the BNC transactions. All right, so we will take all kinds of steps. Now, if we go to court, we'll ask for freezing orders, both for tangible and intangible property. I have already warned banks not to move any money in any account associated with any of the companies that they know, okay, are related or owned by Edubohe and his wife. So we will follow with official actions, again, seeking to ensure that we preserve the assets, for purposes of the prosecution. Now, the question with respect to whether if we recover, we will proceed to prosecute. Now, in the best of two worlds for any prosecutor is to be able to convict and jail, and then also to recover the proceeds of crime. That's the best scenario. We have a plea bargaining regime in this country. If suspect Edubohe and his wife and the other suspects that we are investigating indicate that they want to enter into plea bargains, return all the assets and the houses and so on to the Republic, refund all the monies, okay, and then even the profits from the proceeds of crime to us, okay. Two things can happen. One is we get him a reduced sentence, so he stays for a shorter period in jail than would have been, because he's looking at a maximum of 25 years in jail. He was born in 1981. All right? He's about 44 years old. The wife is 34. She was born in 85, or no, 82 or thereabout. So she's 34. So you can imagine doing 34 plus 25 if they get the maximum. Okay, so she will come out at an advanced age of 59. She'll be 59 by the time she comes out of jail. All right. So if they want to cut a deal and return all the proceeds, we are willing to let them go. All right. Go to jail for a reduced sentence, or for the best scenario for them is for them to walk and return all the proceeds. All right. So I'm open-minded when it comes to these issues. So if they want to do a plea bargain, they should make an offer through their lawyers. Immediately I file charges, they should make an offer through their lawyers, and I'll be willing to look at it, because that is the essence of the plea bargaining regime under the under Act 30 as amended. Now, the question of confidentiality and national security. You see, the reason why national security expenditures are kept confidential are many. But one is that if, for instance, you are conducting surveillance and you want to give somebody money, okay, to conduct surveillance on a Saturday, do you want to go to the bank and do a check in the name of national security and give it to the person that should go and then, cash the check and, conduct the surveillance? Also, if expenditures are overexposed, investigations will also be equally overexposed. All right, that is one of the other reasons why national security expenditures are, done confidentially. So, for instance, I don't know whether you have ever seen the Parliamentary Committee on Interior or Finance or the Public Accounts Committee grilling national security publicly. Have you ever seen that? Because the tradition all over the world is that their expenses, are done, confidentially. All right? And if briefings are to be given to let's say the finance minister or the person in charge of our, treasury, they have to also be done, confidentially. And so I support that. The few elements, the few rogue elements, like suspected Dubois, should not, let us, breach national security protocols and laws by exposing their expenditures. So I will still maintain that all expenditures of national security, should remain, confidential. Now, regarding the CCTV cameras that were taken, the cameras were actually not taken. It was the hard drive of the CCTV. And every investigator knows that the hard drive is what stores, it is the memory, it is the brain box of the CCTV camera. The camera is a mechanism for transmitting images or getting the images. But when it obtains the images, they are then stored in the hard drive. And it was a hard drive that we took, or the national security, operatives who went to his house took. That is standard. It's standard in any investigation. All right. So, for instance, if the intelligence we got was with respect to some items, of significance in his house, all right. If there was a movement of those items, the only way by which we will get to know is by reviewing the memory of the CCTV system. And that is contained in the hard drive. So that is what we took. So those who are saying that we went and took CCTV cameras, are mistaken, and they are being mischievous in whatever they are doing with that information. I think there was another question by the same person regarding rearrest. Okay, so the question was whether when we rearrest, am I sure that the court will remand him? Now, that is a burden on me when I make the application to the court to show quite clearly that he's a flight risk. Now, all of you and my fellow countrymen and women listening and watching to me, from all the details that I have given with respect to the plans that he made to escape surveillance, if you want, such a person to be roaming on the streets, okay, whilst investigations are going on, then you run the risk of him escaping. And I told you that Mr. Samoa, the CEO of GIF, is playing hide and seek with us. I'm sure from Senegal, he'll go somewhere else. And usually what they do is that they'll go to a country where they know that we don't have an extradition treaty with. Okay, so I can't request that they be extradited, to stand trial. But we are monitoring him. And I'm sure one day we'll get him. He will arrive in this country, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Now, OSP and then Honorable Ken Oforiata, I have not yet had that conversation with OSP. So when I have that conversation, I will give you the details. Then also, someone asked about backdoor CCTV issues. If you can clarify the question, I think I've forgotten exactly what it was about. Yeah, what?
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click on the bell for more updates.